Well, good morning and welcome, or good day. Welcome to this episode of Power Solutions, Nigeria's number one for talk, 99.3 Nigeria Info. I'm Collins. Teke. Well, I've been joined by a good friend from Olon, Wisdom Chapp-Jumbo. Good morning, Wisdom.
Hi, Collins. Good morning. Good morning. Good to see you today.
So it's a delight to be here. Power Solutions is where we discuss or we talk to the key players who are providing solutions to the power problems of our country, especially in the renewable energy sector, as it were. True. Week in, week out, we bring individuals and persons in that industry. Today, being on Monday, we're here for another episode of Power Solutions, and we have yet another guest, or should I say set of guests, joining us on the show, right, Wisdom?
Exactly. You said it as it is, Collins. Yes, and we like to talk to the key players. Yes,
absolutely. Today's conversation is themed championing renewable energy finance in Nigeria, and we do have joining us as a guest on this episode the group head energy, Sterling Bank Nigeria, in person of none other than Dele Faseemo. Hope I got the name correctly. Good morning, Dele. How are you doing today?
Very great, Frank. Nice to be here with you and with Wisdom and my colleague Shea as well. Thank you very much for having
Absolutely.
us.
Yes, I was going to mention that Shea also joins us. Shea Okunuga. Yeah, absolutely. Good morning, Shea.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Well, let's hit the ground running as we look at championing renewable energy finance in Nigeria. Sure. Wisdom has got the first question.
Yes. Now, I want to start like this because I'm excited to have Dele on the show today. But when I read about you, I noticed you spent your entire career in banking. Man, that's a long time. Over 20 years.
That's correct.
Tell us about this journey. How has it been? 20 years in banking.
Well, thanks, Wisdom. It seems long, but it's at the same time seems quite short by virtue of a number of things that have been done.
Okay.
Like every other journey, it's been very beautiful. But again, most beautiful things come with certain times when you've got opportunity to reflect. I think for me, in the midst of all the ups and downs that the industry itself has gone through over those years, the high points for me are the opportunities to impact the economy, to have been part of infrastructure finance projects, whether in power, whether in telecoms, and across the different segments to move the country forward. I think looking ahead, this is what excites, and that's what I'm actually excited to be part of.
Did you ever feel at some point to want to switch to something else?
No, because banking as it is today actually gives you the opportunity to do different things within the industry, So it's an all-encompassing profession for me and experience. So no desire to look elsewhere for now.
As a group head, you simultaneously oversee oil and gas and power and renewable energy. What does that entail? I mean, that's a lot on the table. Tell us, what does it take to, or what's exactly your role, as it were?
Okay, thanks, Frank. I think it's if you, from the context of energy transition, globally, people trying to move away from oil to clean energy.
Okay.
So you would think that this is an opportunity to die and live at the same time. So for me, it's the entire gamut of things. So developing the strategy for the bank and leading the execution of it, providing leadership to my team. Of course, all the functions are around new business development, managing the existing balance sheets of the bank, and of course making money as you do so as well. And with renewable energy, the focus is around, we're trying to lead capacity building and specialization. Because in banking, you don't finance what you don't understand. So we're building specialization in this space, engaging people like yourselves. We're developing products, building the market, providing advisory services, and of course building partnerships around the different people who are players in the industry. And of course, we're managing our transition as a bank and looking forward into the future of energy, generally speaking. So that is the overview of what this role entails for me, and it's been quite interesting, I must say.
Nice. You wear many hats, but on this program today, we want to only pick, keep our focus on renewable energy. Now, most players in this sector, they always say the banks, are not doing enough, and the banks need to get in and finance more renewable energy projects. Do you think this is a good call? Do you think the banks are doing enough? Now, we're not just talking about Sterling Bank, but banks in general. Do you see any progress the bank is making, and this call by the players in the sector? What's your view about it?
It's a very useful call, which we support entirely.
Okay.
Yes, I should say, I don't think banks are doing enough yet.
Okay.
Again, like you mentioned, this is not about Sterling. This is about the entire banking industry. We've seen colleagues across the industry actually coming to engage us. Sterling, how are you doing it? What sort of knowledge sharing sessions can we have? Can we collaborate? Can we jointly finance programs and so on and so forth? So we support the call for banks, for all banks, all lenders, all financiers to play more within the renewable energy space. But I think it starts with what I said earlier about knowledge building, capacity building.
Okay.
Banking, as a way, is a very conservative business. You are lending your own capital, you are lending other depositors' capital, and that requires you to be conservative. And drawing from that conservatism is that you don't, again, like I said, you don't finance what you don't understand. So what we're doing more right now, apart from the financing, is to build capacity to, create the knowledge so that people can understand the risk. In Sterling, we do understand the risk. I won't say we fully understood the risk, but we seem to be ahead of the rest of our colleagues. And the knowledge of the risk is actually how you'll be able to intervene and lend and support.
If you're just joining, you're listening to Power Solutions on Nigeria Info. It is brought to you by Nigeria Info in partnership with All On. And we have a special guest from Sterling Bank. I'll just go straight to the next question. Now, according to a report by the World Bank, businesses in Nigeria lost about $29 billion annually because of the unreliable electricity. Now, do you think that Nigeria is doing enough to address the power sector under the performance?
Thanks, Frank.
Collins.
I'm sorry. I like the question. So the question is not whether Nigeria is doing something. The question is whether we're doing enough. And the honest answer is we're not doing enough.
Right.
A lot has been done. If you go back a little bit to 2005 with the Electric Power Sector Reform Act that the federal government, enacted, and of course to the Energy Transition Plan, or the roadmap, I should say, power roadmap, that led to the privatization of the power assets in 2013, to what we currently have around removal of subsidies, on the energy tariff from the grid, and so on and so forth. As a matter of fact, the most recently passed Petroleum Industry Act actually touches on something around gas, which is when you connect that with gas to power. So all of these actually mean that so much has been done, but not enough. But if you again look at what the federal government is doing around the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, which is the pillar for the Solar Power Niger program, for example.
The one headed by the Vice President.
By the Vice President's office. All of these are initiatives that have been done, all right? But there is a little bit more, actually, that we can do, right? We need to stabilize the framework around the regulation. So, for example, if you look at metering, we moved from the CAP-ME to the Meter Asset Provider Scheme. Now we're talking about the National Mass Metering Program. All of these, we need some regulatory clarity. We need stability within that space. But most importantly, I think for us as players, we see a key need for developing a risk-sharing framework that will support lenders, to be able to devote a lot more of their capital ahead of even putting the capital in place. So money doesn't seem to be so much of the issue, but what framework are we building? And we are sort of leading that conversation with parties who are interested. Say, let's come together, let's dimension the risk, let's share the risk so that we can actually scale what we are doing within this space.
We'll come to policy, shortly. But before that, let me move to Shay. I know you work closely with Dele, and I hear you also lead sort of the renewable energy part of Sterling as a whole. So, but I want to actually let's come to some of the projects Sterling is doing. Can you tell us about some of these projects you've been funding and give us more details about it? Let's know more.
Okay, thank you. Sterling has been involved in renewable energy for a while, and right from we look at the chain, right from the users of this product all the way to the developers. Now, talking about financing right now, we have mini grid project we've financed, a micro mini grid, solar home solution, which we know as SHS. But in the country, some of the notable projects that we have, I'm sure you know about A-Solar, which is about a 7 billion naira project, was financed solely by Sterling. That one amongst many that I will not talk about now, not to intimidate the industry. But the reason why we had to do this and make it public, especially for A-Solar, is to make people, the public, understand the fact that we are committed to this. We are really committed. And just before we started this program, you and I were also talking about a certain company, Oxano, that we are also looking into production, manufacturing of solar panel in the country, and many more projects. Sterling Bank is also committed into the production of batteries, solar batteries right now, and we are ready and partnering
the production of batteries.
Because if you do not produce locally, and we have a lot of our foreign exchange exiting the country, or exiting the country to developing countries, so to speak. We need to look at that so that the value of power will enter the value chain as it were. Thank you.
All right, we understand that your bank offers free financial advisory services for renewable energy businesses. How does it work, and how can potential businesses access this service? That's for Dele.
Thanks, Collins. Yes, we do offer financial advisory services. But just to backtrack a little, from the number of years we've spent in this space, we've sort of realized one key challenge that business developers tend to have is their ability to package their business proposals and make them bankable. All right. So they at the early stages of project development, not even project finance, project development, we try to get involved. Right. We look at their business initiatives and the ideas. We work with them to negotiate probably some of the contracts, negotiate some of the offtake agreements, and so on and so forth, so that we can help them put together a financing framework that they can take to any other lender, right? That anybody, any financial investor will be very happy to participate and put money in. So these are, at least at the very basic level, some of the things that we try to do, apart from helping them with financial modeling and some other activities around the financing value chain.
All right, interesting.
So if anybody is listening to you now, a potential business person, how can they access the service? How? Just
excellent.
Give us,
Excellent. So different ways they can contact us. So today, for example, we've developed an online platform, which is a marketplace, which is another thing that we've seen as a need in the market. So they can contact us by sending, by actually chatting with us on the website for that platform, which is www.imperiumng.com. Imperium, IMPERIUMNG.com. They can contact us there. They can actually send an email as well to info@imperiumng.com. As well as, of course, make phone calls if they do desire to do so to certain phone numbers. If we can give on this call, we will do so as we go along.
We know through the Lagos State. Let's bring it to Lagos now. Through the Lagos State electricity policy, now the government hopes to create about 5.2 trillion. 5.2 trillion electricity markets. A market that's worth 5.2 trillion, and that's huge. What are your views about this new policy from the bank's perspective? Of course, you know the role of the banks. You just talked about the number of projects you're involved in renewable energy. I think a good friend on the other side talked about it. So, from your perspective as a banker, what's your view on this plan by the state government?
Thanks, Colin. I think it's a very great idea.
Yeah.
I'm talking about market. Part of what I said that we try to do earlier is market development. And of course, the idea of market is traditionally a place where buyers and sellers meet. But we know that it's no longer a physical place in today's digital age. So it's a very great idea to create that enabling environment to unleash the potential of the market. So whether it's 5.2 trillion, whether it's 10 trillion, whether it's 2, the figure is somewhere around the numbers that we're throwing around. But it's a very great idea to create that enabling environment. And I think these will come in different ways. So you could have tax reliefs from the state or federal government to developers, to business owners within the space. That could be SME funding in collaboration with banks like maybe Sterling. I know the Lagos State government, for example, deals with employment. There's the Employment Trust Fund. Maybe a portion of that could be devoted to supporting SMEs who are playing in that area. That could be development of framework around housing. All right, and it's very important, this point that I'm about to make, from what we've seen in interacting with consumers. For those who do not own their homes, ability to put the solar panels on rented apartments, you will be surprised that seems to have been a major challenge in Lagos. Right, so around tenancy regulations that would actually enable or empower tenants to be able to put such assets on the rooftops, can go a long way in encouraging adoption of renewable energy solutions for SMEs and households. So there are various other ways, but from experience, if we start from these building blocks, we can actually potentially unleash the market in the area, in the sum that was mentioned.
Collins, we are going to unpack this policy soon. We're in talks with the office of the Honorable Commissioner for Energy in Lagos, and he'll be on the show one of these days. We sort of want to unpack this policy, and create more awareness about it, and sort of understand what in details is going to be about, because it seems to be an interesting idea for Lagos, and all of the issues around it we want to discuss with the Honorable Commissioner and see how he can provide more clarity to it.
Interesting. All right, if you are just joining us still, you are listening to Power Solutions. It's reaching you live from your number one station for talk, Nigeria Info FM. And we're having a chat here with our friends from Sterling Bank, talking about championing renewable energy finance in Nigeria. So far, so good. A lot has been said. If you do have a comment or question, you know how to find us. Send it ahead, whether or not the program is on, so that we can treat it on subsequent episode. But you also can always reach us on our socials. At the Allon is
at Allon NG on Instagram and on LinkedIn. Allon Energy, Allon Energy.
Okay, Allon Energy on Instagram and on LinkedIn. Allon Energy. But you know how to find Nigeria Info. You can always send us a DM, slide into a DM, or you could reach us on Instagram at Nigeria Info. Check out on our stations nationwide. You could get us through, or you could slide into my DM and let me know. I could pass your message across, of course. Always, it's Collins_Teke. Don't forget that. Well, I think Wisdom has the next question as you proceed, right?
Okay, so let's talk partnerships. Now, championing renewable energy finance in Nigeria. What are some partnerships your bank is currently working on, or is currently, committed to sort of champion this cause? So I just want to know more about that.
Thank you very much, Wisdom. Again, I like to backtrack because what we're doing is very deliberate. We're quite strategic about our intervention in this space. And you've touched on something that is one of the three pillars of our intervention.
Okay.
The other two pillars are actually financing and creating the trading in the marketplace. The third being the partnership, because we know that we can't do it alone. So, of course, the first level of partnership we build is with our clients. Whether consumer assets, finance, whether developers, whether mini-grid developers, and of course with government regulations and implementing agencies. So we've got a very solid relationship with the Rural Electrification Agency, for example. We partner with them. We support their various initiatives, whether the Solar Power Niger project, whether the energizing markets initiatives, and various other programs that they've got. We've also had building relationships with development finance institutions, for example, Bank of Industry. So there's a line of credit that, the Bank of Industry has given to the bank to on-lend. All right. So this again is there. Again, developers, we work with developers. We have today in the area of technical partnership, we have over 100 technical partners in renewable energy who help us to do energy. 100, yeah.
Wow.
They help us to do energy audit. So, for example, if you want to have a renewable energy solution in your home or your office, we decide who is closest to you. We send them across. They do the energy audit for your house or for your office, and then they design the project and the product. So we've got that in place, and we also are building partnerships for training, capacity building. We started about 2 years ago. We did about 100 solatricians, we call them, solar technicians, because we know after-sales service is very important. So we don't want to set up solar systems in your farm or in your hospital or school or church or in your office or at home, and then you don't have the support services that are required. So these are things that we're trying to scale to be able to ensure that there's technical support available for systems that we finance. So and a whole lot of partnerships with international institutions, which, because at different levels of engagement, I may not be able to mention some of them today, but multilateral agencies, developing finance institutions, that are developing risk sharing framework with us, and co-funding and co-financing framework with us as well. So again, partnership is one of the three pillars of how we're intervening in the renewable energy finance market. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Dele, for that submission. So the next question, I don't know if both of you would take it from your own perspectives individually, but it's about projecting, within the next 3 years or more, right? What kind of commitment should we expect from your bank specifically for this sector? Dele, you want to take that?
Absolutely. So today, one of the measures of looking at how serious a bank is with regards to any sector is what proportion of your loan book is committed to that sector. Today, starting from ground zero, we're approaching 10 billion naira in our lending to this sector. So in the next 2 years,
10 billion naira, you say?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. In actual loans that have been disbursed and created. Today, so in the next 2 to 3 years, our aspiration is that we will not be less than 10 to 15% of our loan book, and that potentially is somewhere between 60 and 70 billion naira. That we are very keen in creating across the entire value chain. So whether it's consumer asset financing, whether it's mini-grid development, whether it's manufacturing or assembly of local assembly of components, and of course in capacity building. So that is how we see it. And to put it in context, let me just quote my CEO here. We want to see solar panels on every roof in Nigeria. That is our aspiration. We want to put, not only see, we want to put solar panels on every roof in Nigeria, because the resource, the natural resource, is endless and available for all.
I just want to hear from Shay quickly. I know we're out of time, but for renewable energy in the next 2 years, what do you see happening in the sector generally?
Okay, the renewable energy is going to take, from that couple words, take charge of the power industry in a few years. The reason why I said this is that let's disregard the fact that the PIA has been passed. The need for energy, worldwide right now, everybody is looking at electric vehicles. We are looking at other sustainable source of energy that is safe to mankind. So gradually we'll move away from fossil fuel, crude oil, as some of we know it, in a very, very good time. There was a research that says that, okay, we have like over 200 years to enjoy crude oil from our reserves that we have in Nigeria. But the question is the 235 years going to wait for us? So right now, the advent of renewable energy is bridging that time. So the 234 years is going to collapse. You understand? You have about 6 to 7% of cars in America selling electric vehicles right now. So it will continue to increase in America and everything. So guess what? Even if at a point in time, knowing fully well that we are not producing cars, well, you have innocence in the country. We will not be importing vehicles. The vehicles we'll be importing right now are going to be electric vehicles in the next 5-10 years. It's going to happen. So we'll start having filling stations across, charging stations across the nation. If I may point out, University of Lagos right now has a charging station for electric vehicle, located inside University of Lagos. So if you have electric vehicle, you could drive your car to Unilag or University of Lagos and charge your electric vehicle, and that is what is going to happen.
We're out of time already.
Great.
That's right. Well, that's well said. On that note, we'll end this episode of the show, but just remember the words charging stations. That should ring a bell in your head. I know that in the nearest future, we will not need filling stations, we'll have charging stations, and you have to prepare yourself, even as a consumer, to know more about this industry. And Power Solutions is here to give you the information. It is brought to you by Nigeria Info in partnership with All On. And I've done this with Wisdom Chapp-Jumbo. We had our good friends from Sterling Bank. This is where we run away. Thanks for listening. My name is Collins. Teke, bye for now.
Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.